country anyway. Tennis is pish. Oh, hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Braw Cast. Yes, wherever you're watching in the internet universe, the audio universe, or whatever it is, what the bloody hell is Braw Cast? Who the hell are you? Well, I'll explain who I am. I'm Billy Kirkwood, the host of Braw Cast. This is brought to you free online, on video, on digital, wherever you want to get it, wherever you get the show. And the way it works is we bring it free every week by the good folks at Braw Beard Oils. But don't worry, it's not all about hairy individuals. It's not all about those. It's a lifestyle podcast. It's an attitude podcast. We get to talk to interesting, sexy MFers each and every week here on the show from all kinds of different places. So, you know something? It can be inspirational. It can be perspirational. It can be wherever you want it to be. The way the show works is all you need to do is sit back and enjoy yourself. There's an audio version that comes out of this every Monday. If you enjoy it, here's what to do. Tag a pal, tell a friend, and also hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on all the Brawbeard social media. I'll come back to that at the end. This week's episode is, well, you know something? We've had so many different guests on the show. Who have we had? We have had MMA fighters. We have had barbers. We have had models. We have had BDSM artists. We've had pro wrestlers. We've had so many different actors, comedians, and so much more. And today, this week on the show, I can say that truly, for the first time, this is the first ever. Trying to say exactly how I'm going to get this down. Will we say walrus hunter, walrus explorer, walrus? Let's talk to the man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest this week. Please welcome Tragic O'Hara. There he is. How are you doing, man? I'll probably completely goosed up what it is you do. I'm thinking, walrus hunter, is that a completely different thing? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a professional walrus chaser.
Chaser.
I am a chaser of the walrus.
Do you don't hunt them then?
No, I'm not that much of a. It's not really my thing. Hunting's not. I wouldn't even know what I would do if I got one. Do you know what I mean? But like that's what I am. I'm like a professional walrus chaser.
Chasing sounds a little sexy. That's all I've got to say. I just always feel
professional makes it all above board.
Oh well, that's right. That's
do you know what I mean?
Right. This is our pal Tragic O'Hara. We're so excited to have you. Man, like some people struggle all their life to get one string to their bow, but I think you're the definition of knowing that you have to have more than one string to your bow. Not only are you an artist, not only are you a musician, not only are you a walrus chaser, professional walrus chaser, but also you're now an author. And we'll have to get back to that in a wee bit. Here we are, mate. What a 2 years it's been, because on the run into whatever all this is, COVID, spitting in each other's mouths, whatever we're doing, you were like me, you were out and about, and now boom, there you are in your wee workshop with everything going on, and you look like you've got, if we were to take a snapshot, you would be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Because there's a keyboard there. There's your relighting desk in the background. You can see the lighting desk, but there's everything going on there. We can see all the cans of spray paint. Mate, how has it been, first of all, working from home? We were having a little talks about the trials and tribulations of having kids and trying to do anything from home. How's it been for you?
Hellish. Like that's the easiest way to say it. Like when I started this thing, I was in the garage. Like I literally just set my garage up as a place where I could like make my videos and do all this sort of stuff. And then the world just stopped moving. Yeah. And then it's like, I was in my garage. Every time I'd be filming something, then someone would flush the plug and you'd hear everything just through a plastic pipe just kind of hit the deck, and you're like, I'll need to stop there. And you would hear people arguing, and it was just everybody's got their own thing. Like it's never I don't think I ever had a day in that garage where I was like, I'll finish at 5 today. Like it's never happened.
All these bastards that have the 9 to 5. So the world's all locked down. I guess you're not doing anything. Are you joking? Are you joking? The pressures are trying to keep this bastard turning. We were talking about the issues of having working when your kids are nearby. I mean, the number of times, and you said it really well right at the start of all this, when I think he was a minister or something, and there he was on the BBC, and his Wayne's come dialing in, including the wee girl with the glasses on doing that, who's still my spirit animal to this day. And the entire world went, "Ha! Look at you dick!" And then 2 days later, there we all were. Oh, you're on mute. Oh, you look like an arsehole. And yeah, what time?
It was different. It was different, man. I mean, I'm away, not away from it, but like, I now have a separate place to go
Yeah.
that I don't have that same sort of thing. But even the other day, right, I was here, and then I was meeting a guy about a thing, and my phone went, and it was my wife going, "You've locked me in with the two kids, and I've not got keys, and I've just had to drop." She dropped my eldest out the kitchen window to go to go and unlock the car door to see if they're in there, and then she's phoning me going, "How am I going to get to the house?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like I have literally, my ass has just hit this couch, and I'm just in a meeting, and like I can't just leave."
When you get that call or that voicemail, and you're like, "You're an adult. You're gonna have to deal with this. I'm not there.
You come to me."
Yeah, wait. What do you want me to do?
Honestly, so she put everybody out the kitchen window, climbed in the car, and drove down so I could give her the house key so she could go up and unlock the front door, and that was it.
Amazing.
It still happens. There's still just shit.
What were Neighbourhood Watch thinking?
See, to be fair,
house?
with some of the stuff that happens in my street, I mean, I painted that Space Invader out my back door. Like that was nothing. Right. That was just a Tuesday. Folk breaking out the front window of the house. That didn't matter. Like, but there's just so many things where it's like that. I think they're just now kind of at the point where they're like, I mean, I've got Deadpool painted on my garage door.
Yes.
Like, so I've got a big Deadpool painted there, and like the garage door doesn't even open. Like it's broken, but I refuse to get rid of it because I just like being the guy with Deadpool in his garage door.
I remember growing up in Irvine, right? Whenever you would drive in via Girdle Toll, like one of the big things everyone would talk about is there was a guy that had an amazing picture of Mickey Mouse painted on his garage door. It was brilliant. You'd see it every day. And then one day it wasn't there, and the rumors went around that Disney had got in touch and told them to take it down. And I still remember a bus full of folk going, that'll be what's happened. That'll be what's happened, right? And just thinking about it to this day, somebody, I don't know, Michael Eisner or something, calling a meeting at the Magic Kingdom. Gentlemen, what are we going to do about the Girdle Toll situation? What are we? This bastard is making a mockery of the legacy of Walt Disney.
See, when I painted that Deadpool, I got a text from my wife, and she said that my son Adam was in primary 1, so they were bringing all the kids round to look at the garage door from the school. And I was like, when are they bringing them? And she's like, I think they're bringing about 1:30. So I dug out my Deadpool costume and I put it on. And then when they came up, like, and they were standing, I opened the door and I was like sweeping the kitchen dressed as Deadpool. And then one of the wee boys went like, "You're Aaron's dad," because Aaron's dad's got long hair, and I can see your long hair. I was like, "Look, I just wear a wig under this to confuse people like you." And it was just like I can't believe that painting Deadpool in a garage was worthy of a school trip. Do you know?
Wow.
So it was, man. Famous with the primary ones.
Well, it's just the councils of anyone watching from it, and I know we've got viewers all around the world. That basically shows how cheap the schools are and the councils are. Kids, we're going to take a wee trip to look at Aaron's dad's garage door. Yes, miss. This is still better than Alton Towers. Nobody needs to see the teachers getting drunk and trying to finger each other. I hated every school trip I went on. Absolutely. But mate, we've got to talk about. There's so much to cover with yourself, man. We got to talk about the many different strings to your bow, right? And I've always wondered, because I've only known you as being this guy that does all the different things. It was music that I originally sort of connected with you over, and then obviously there's the art and what have you. Well, we did get an opportunity just briefly before we started to talk about a gig that me and Tosh had done together, and we actually he couldn't remember it. we'd blocked it with our minds because so it was where we are. In our neck of the, even though we're not in the same room, obviously, we are in our neck of the woods. Burns, Robbie Burns is. I mean, I don't know what it was like for you. Did you grow up in this area, Tosh?
Yeah. I'm from a Drawson.
So you know how much they pummel you with Burns.
Do you know? It's as if it's the last person that's ever allowed to do anything from Ayrshire. It's as if, like, do you know what I mean? It's as if it doesn't matter what you do from now on. It's no Burns. Do you know what I mean?
Pulling down a board, going right. See this. This is where he peaked. Don't even fucking try.
I was thinking this the other day, right? Because Robert, my other son, he's starting to get quite broad, and he'll say things like "hoose." He'll go. He's starting to pick up that kind of slang, and there's a bit where I'm going. His teachers are going to crucify him for that until burn season, and then they'll have them all up, and they'll be like, "Right, remember it's pronounced hoose, rose, all that kind of stuff." Aye, but any other time of the year you get hammered for it, you're not allowed to talk like that.
I grew up hating, but I still remember in primary school, Mrs. Salter, and if you're watching Mrs. Salter, please don't take this the wrong way. We actually I can't even believe I'm telling this, right? We did an ode to a haggis, right? And there was a boy called Martin Haggerty who was, mate, he was brilliant at the ode to a haggis. There's that one kid in every class that was just like, oh, here he goes doing his fucking buns. But he was brilliant at it. I remember we had but they wouldn't get a real haggis in. So what they basically did is they got a plastic bag, went outside, filled it with dirt, and then came in and sat it in the front of the class. And he had to cut this bag of dirt. And even as a little guy, I remember going, this isn't right. There's
something fucking up here.
They shouldn't be doing this. I mean, we spent the last 6 weeks learning what a fucking haggis is, and there's this boy cutting up a farm food, a Safeway bag, if I remember correctly, a Safeway bag filled with dirt.
Brilliant.
These teachers are taking the piss out of us. But we did a gig together, and it was a mutual friend, a wonderful artist from down this neck of the wood called Craig Campbell, who does, I think I saw one of his paintings at Ayr Racecourse actually not that long ago, and he was doing Tam O'Shanter, I think, was the painting he'd done, and it was an unveiling of it. And so I was just the man that did the talking. I'm not exactly sure what my role was there. I was doing it for free, just not exactly sure what I was doing there, but I was there. And you were in the corner playing music, which you'd completely forgotten about.
Totally forgot. Totally. I've had that many bad gigs that I've just been like, I don't want to remember this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
The bad gigs. I love the bad gigs.
I like them. I don't know. I think it's just been so long that I've severed myself off the whole thing of playing with people. And then every so often someone will go, do you remember this? And I'm like, nope, do not. I remember nothing about it. Oh, you done this? You woke up in that skip? Nope, don't. I genuinely, I don't remember.
No, you don't remember the gig when you woke up? That happened at that gig. You woke up. Yeah, Pooh Bear in it, naked from the waist down.
I know I was in Edinburgh. That's all I knew.
Oh,
and then I did. That actually happened. I did wake up in a skip one time. Like back in I obviously never had children at the time.
Right. Well, of course not. Of course not.
Back when I was no, never. Not now.
No, never. Giving up a chance. Maybe. Well,
straight away.
Listen, COVID's all been reset, mate. We get the last 2 years back, or we can cram it all into one weekend. See, when all this is done, we can cram it all into one weekend. And just dads and mums across the kids, you're on your own. Here's some sea salts and fucking whatever Wayne's drink. I was trying to think of those vitamins that Wayne's go, there you go, there's some Wellman for your kids. And away you go, and that's it. We'll just get wasted. But where did things kick off? So at school, what was it like at school for you? Were you into art? Were you into music? Or was that something you found later in life, mate? How did all this sort of come about? What was your first love, or was that a little bit of everything?
I remember just drawing all the time when I was young.
Right.
Like I used to draw comics, and like I'd do like
Cool.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics and like post them through my friends' doors and stuff like that. Like, but I was never into anything
You're
serious.
an 80s movie, you sweetheart.
I used to draw these wee comics and post them through folks' doors and stuff. And but it wasn't until like I wasn't really into music at all,
right,
until because my mum and dad listened to shit,
right,
utter shit. Like
what was kind of the things? Because I literally had a chat with somebody about this today, because my dad passed away last year, and I got asked so what kind of music was he into? Fuck, have no idea. Absolutely no idea. He just didn't listen to it in the house. I think we had the Now That's TV Anthems 2 record at one point. Like, I never remember him liking any music. I had to ask other people and went, oh, he loved Frank Sinatra. Did he? He's the first I'd ever heard it. So fair enough. Well, what were they into? What were some of the cringy ones?
So, well, there was only kind of two things. I remember my dad used to listen to Tina Turner, and my mum, it was John Bon Jovi. That was it. Like, that's all I remember. And I remember I'm not into John Bon Jovi. It's just not my thing. You made a face there. You into John Bon Jovi?
I don't. I'm not a John Bon Jovi guy. I kind of don't mind him being in the world.
No, I'm not in it.
I don't
like
like
a petition.
Well, if there was a time, he's feeding homeless people in like New York. I think we're going to struggle with that one. But no, you're right. It's just kind of, despite the fact that I'm an old goth and what have you. It's just he's on the other end of the spectrum. Do you know? Maybe it's like it's that Life of the Young Guns theme. Quite like that.
It done nothing for me. And I remember like the only tape in the car. Like there was a tape where it was, and I still hear this song and it makes me physically sick because we used to drive the back roads to Kilburnie. And it was Blue Velvet. See that? She wore blue velvet. That song. Honestly, I can feel it in the pit of my stomach right now. I get pure car sick, and every time I hear that song, it just takes me straight back to it. But
I never ever remember my dad once even listening to the radio. I think he was at. I think he was he probably hated music or something. It's like, oh, I don't listen to music. It's soft. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Davey, settle down.
So there was a tape. There was a tape with hundreds of stuff on it, but it had Madness House of Fun. And that was like the only song that I remember being on in the car that was like, that's great. I like that. But nothing else. It wasn't until I kind of get into a teenager that I like heard Nirvana and then everything changed. And that was it.
What? That's mad. So what was the type of music you started going for?
I remember in primary 7, Live and Kicking. Remember Live and Kicking?
The TV show?
Going live with Philip Schofield.
Yeah.
Remember? And
yeah,
They had a hit or miss section where it was like they would play the song. Remember that, right? So, and I remember watching that and the Beastie Boys Intergalactic came on. The video and I remember being in primary 7 and looking at this and going, I don't know what the fuck this is, but Mum, we need to go to Woolworths and I need to buy this. And I've still got the single. At Intergalactic. And I remember having that, and I remember having the Run DMC Jason Nevins remix.
Versus Jason Nevis. Yeah,
that was it. And I ended up doing that song at Stars Your Eyes, my talent show in primary 7, dressed in a pair of Adidas button-ups.
You absolute shagger.
That was so bad. I think I've got it in tape, man. It was grim. And I done a wee breakdancing routine in the middle and just all that. Hat on backwards, just loving life.
Were you having a rap battle? Were you having a dance battle with yourself? Was there anyone else on stage with you?
There was another guy that was supposed to be doing it and shut out right at the
man!
And I was just left spinning on my back.
Fucking arsehole.
I know, man.
Well, I hate stuff like that. Whenever you hear about, just shat it, just anybody. And it probably his fucking idea. Probably his bloody idea.
But I don't know. I just kind of when I started listening to Nirvana as a teenager, that was it. Like that, I just knew. Like,
so did that inspire you to start making music yourself, or did that come later when you went to secondary school and you started meeting other people? Like, when did that happen? Because obviously you've got a body of work behind you doing live music and making your own stuff. So where did that sort of come into things?
When I heard Nirvana, I was probably 14, 15. And then before that, I still love metal. Like I'm metal daft, right? So like I was listening to like Slipknot and like Slayer and Pantera and all that sort of stuff. And I love it. I still to this day. But I'd hear it and I would go, there's no way I can play that. That's far too complicated for the likes of me. And then I heard Nirvana and I seen them on Kerrang. And I remember looking at the TV and seeing Smells Like Teen Spirit 10 years after it came out and going, I could do that. Like, I think I could do, and that was it. Like, I learned every single song they ever done. I got my granddad's guitar off him. I borrowed all his cardigans. that was me. I just grew my hair. That was it. I never looked back.
Oh, right. You borrowed these cardigans like Kurt Cobain just for a second. It was like,
aye, 100%.
Why'd you borrow these cardigans?
Just because that was partly they make you better at playing guitar. But there's that, do you know,
there you go.
I started shopping in charity shops.
Yes.
Right. And I remember I wrote this for the book, but then I deleted it because I was like, it makes no sense. I've just told a story and I'm looking at it and going, this has nothing to do. It's going to be hard enough to piece Walrus chasing together into a coherent narrative without dropping shite like this in it, right? And I remember I went to a charity shop and I was buying like cardigans and stuff, and I seen this shirt, this black silk, goldy sparkle shirt, and I looked at it and I went, Brian Moko would play something like that, would wear something like that, and you'll look the dog's bollocks in that thing. And I never even tried it on, and I just bought it, 10 pence or something, took up the road, put it on, looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, this is how David Bowie feels. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the shirt for me. And I remember wearing it down to the bit where we used to meet in Salkits, and it was all my pals, and I jacket off and all that, swaggering about the place. And the first thing was like, that's a blouse, mate. No, it's not. It's a guy's shirt. I got it at the guy's settings. You're like, no, that's definitely a blouse. So I go in a pure huff about the fact that it's not. It's a man's shirt. And I went up the road, right? Put it in the dirty washing. A couple of days later, my mum shouts me, and she's like, "Whose is this blouse?" Like, it's not a blouse. It's a shirt. And she's like, "No, all the buttons on the wrong side, and I've got one in the cupboard. It's definitely a blouse." So because I took such a ripping, because do you know what I mean? Like, what was that? 2005. It wasn't cool to wear blouses back then. Do you know what I mean? I'd wear it now and no care. Like, I wouldn't even think twice about it. But then I was like, I can't afford to take this slagging for this. I wore it 3 times after that, and they ripped me every single time that I put it in the bin. I was like, at least I can continue to argue. No, it's a guy's shirt. So that's it, man. You know what I mean?
It is a weird blindness that we have around about that age, because I know everyone watching is going to go back through their 40s and just go, what the flying fuck was that? Like, and I went out like that. I went out like that, whether it's that shirt, that t-shirt, those dungarees, anything along those lines.
Remember those big trousers? The big flary trousers.
I used to wear skater trousers. Oh, fucking hell, man. I've just thought about that. This gave me fucking hives. The shit I used to wear to work. Do you know what I mean? Just the shite I used to wear.
And you'd just be soaked for the knee down.
The knee down? Why did we ever wear them?
It would just draw all up.
Hanging out around the Museum of Modern Art in Glasgow thinking, I am the tits. I am the tits, mate. Look at my tribe. We're going to own this city by midnight. We're going to own this city by midnight. But yeah, so leaving school, transitioning into, I want to do other things. I want to start opening up my world. We've already said with the comic book, so there's an interest in art there, but you take a complete turn. Like you in terms of like, what is your journey getting into the creative industries then? What is your journey getting into that?
I don't know. Like I was into skateboarding, and then like for skateboarding got into music, and then got into graffiti because of skateboarding, and just kept writing on walls and kept playing in bands and doing all that sort of stuff. And then every teacher I ever went to school with would tell me that that's not a real thing. You can't do that. Like there's no real jobs in that sort of thing. And I was like that. I don't know what I'm going to do then, and just kept doing it. And like I don't know, man. There was never a bit that was like, I'm
making this a gig.
Aye, it was just like, I'm just going to make stuff because I enjoy it. And then, like, I remember, you ever seen Dig?
I've never seen Dig. No, I have not.
Like, so it's a documentary about the Brian Jonestown massacre and the Dandy Warhols.
Okay.
It's phenomenal. I can't watch it after 8 o'clock at night because I won't sleep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I'm just like, oh my. And there's a bit where Anton Newcomb for the Brian Jonestown massacre, like the whole story is like they went down the independent route and Dandy Warhols went the major route. And it's like the differences between the two of them. And like there's a bit where Anton Newcomb is in a garage and he's built a studio in there and he records a song called Devil May Care, Mum and Dad Don't. And it's just, he plays every instrument with one microphone and records this whole song. And I remember watching that and going, fuck, I've got a bedroom. And that was me. I was like, I went and I got a student loan. I'm still in debt now. I've never let over the threshold to pay it back. And I built a wee recording setup in my bedroom, and I made 3 albums in there. And I remember, folk going, "You've got to be recording an album. Your mom will be downstairs shouting." I'm like, "Well, aye, but like I can't afford an actual studio. Do you know what I mean? But I'd much rather be fanning about with this sort of stuff." And like that, so that was my life, was just bumming about, basically, like just kind of fannying about and playing gigs in the middle of nowhere.
In your own way, you're learning your passions. You're learning how to get good at these things from the inside out. because, like you say, not that I'm giving anything to anybody that goes into any type of like academia or anything like that, but you're getting to learn, like you said, it's skateboarding, natural progression into graffiti and music's already running thick through that. So these are all things that you're wanting to do. I mean, what were your inspirations? Because I'm talking as a complete like layman in terms of graffitiing, but was there any particular style or is there any subgenres within that you went, this is kind of my feed, this is kind of what I like, and I'm trying to recreate this and what I'm doing?
You're kind of, because, well, obviously as an Ayrshire native, you're kind of always in the outside looking in.
Yeah,
because all the big stuff happened in Glasgow.
definitely.
So when I remember getting the train in to Glasgow and seeing like the 4-story Acme that's there.
Yeah.
Do you know, and I remember the first time I seen that going, fuck, well, that's not what I do. Do you know what I mean? Like, and seeing that stuff and going, this is light years ahead of me. I don't know what this is. And just raking through graffiti.org and looking at things that people were doing. But there's one particular writer called Ghost, who's one of the kind of New York originals. He's AKA Cousin Frank. That's Ghost, AKA Cousin Frank, and he does these really weird kind of psychedelic big bubble letter faces, skulls, eyeballs dripping like that. And I remember seeing that and going, I like that. It looks like nothing else anybody's ever done. He looks like his name. Do you know what I mean? Like when you get people that have a name and the letters could say it, and it's like you heard Ghost, and you're like, this is what I'm into. So I get really into him, and then I just kept just drawing and stuff. And like even when I was out gigging, like I'd turn up with my suitcase and I'd just have markers and stuff in there, and after the sound check I'd just go out and wherever I was, I would just draw on things. Like go out for an hour and drawing things about, right, I better go back and then play the gig and then get the bus home or whatever, or wake up in a skip, just depending where the night took me.
Oh man.
And that was it, man.
But you're right in terms of like making those trips into Glasgow, like at that age when you're just you're just a sponge for everything. Did Glasgow seem like the slums of New York? It's like, look at this, man. Look at where I am. The bright lights.
Aye, like well, even then, like getting a gig in Glasgow felt like a big deal. Like back in the day, like getting a gig. I remember playing the Barfly. Remember the Barfly?
Yes. And
the week, or a couple of weeks before that, Nick Oliveri and the Mondo Generator. Do you know? Do you know Nick Oliveri?
Like absolutely not.
So, Queens of the Stone Age. Queens of the Stone
Age.
Oh,
fuck, of course.
Right.
So he
was a bass player that played in Songs for the Deaf before some bad stuff happened and all that. But his band played there, and I remember getting a gig there and going, well, that's you. You've fucking made it. Like that's it. That's you. You don't need to do anything now. You can go back. And I remember playing that gig, and the next day, it was the first shift I'd ever done with North Ayrshire Council, and my job was to lick envelopes. And I remember, I fucking shit,
right.
Man.
First of all, that's not a euphemism, by the way. That's not a euphemism, just in case anyone's wondering.
That's genuinely, that's what I done. I took letters to young people that were taking part in all these kind of music things and all that, and it was the first paying gig I ever got. And I would take the letters and fold them up and put them in and lick the envelope, and then and just stack a big pile. Oh, that was it. I licked envelopes after the gig where I genuinely thought, that's your rock star now, man.
Know what I mean? You did that gig in Glasgow. You think there's going to be one of the big wigs from one of the music, a big cigar at the side of the contract. EMI is going to be waiting. He's going to be waiting. Boys, we need to finish this up because the future's waiting at the side.
If we don't get him, someone else here will.
That's it. Yes, they're not coming in. This guy's beckoning you off the stage, and next day you get brought up. That is almost the perfect description of the wonderful world of creative arts, right there. You can be like, this is a good gig, man. This is a good gig. Next day, like I remember I'm doing one of the biggest gigs I'd done, and it was supporting Frankie Boyle at the bottom of the Falls Road in Ireland. 4,000 people in a giant tent. I could have died of Mars, smashed it. I had a great one. Next day, I'm performing to 10 people in a snooker hall in Fife, and it was awful, man. And you're always like, Can I show you some pictures of yesterday's gig, just so you know? I'll do the gig. Fuck, man. But there it is, though. You start doing things in the local community down here in Ayrshire, making a real connection and a real difference through music and graffiti. Did you see that coming together? Because, like you say, kids down here, if they were doing anything, they were just doing it off their back. They didn't have anyone kind of going, guys, there is actually more to this fucking world than, just sitting here pining for these far distant dreams.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I started working with young folk when I was 18, like professionally. So, and that was in a place called, again, stuff like this doesn't really, it doesn't exist down here anymore. But do you remember the Cali Centre?
I do remember the Cali Centre. Yeah.
So like,
it's gone,
when I was, it's not there. And like, when I was like 15 and I started getting into music, it was an old police station.
Yeah.
And the cells was the recording studio. And it was like, and I remember walking in and it was onto mini disc and stuff. And I remember being like, that was it. I just was there as much as I could be there. And I just tried everything. And I feel bad for because there's nothing like that now for young folk. Like, it's not the same sort of thing. And it's like, I don't know. I know for a fact I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing now if it wasn't for that time in there, being able to just record stuff and learn all that stuff for free.
I guess it's kind of the difference, because people are looking in different ways now. People are wanting to be professional influence and content creators, but then they don't know how to actually create any content. It's like when I was, you mentioned it earlier on, like seeing Nirvana and Kerrang and stuff like that. Basically, if I was near or had access to the couple of times that we get Sky, it would depend on how we were doing financially. But usually the music channels were free. They would always be on because that's where I would see music videos, directors, comedians, even, you know what I mean? That's where that kind of, and like Channel 4 used to be like banging. Look, guys, if you've watched Channel 4 today, you fucking no idea how cool Channel 4 actually used to be if you were a young guy.
Father Ted.
Mate, Father Ted, the word.
I don't remember the word.
I remember the word, but
I don't remember the word
because you'd always read about it the next day in the paper.
TFI Friday.
It was on a Friday night, man. It used to be like Father Ted, and then there'd be like the word, and there was like the something. There'd always be some guy eating drinking his own sick or some shit like that, man. Which you're like, just kind of up from that arsehole jackass, I guess, kind of like, look, a boy's gonna electrocute his balls.
I love what I mean. I love all the jackass stuff, like the CKY, all that. That was another thing, but it was like, but these were just folk from nowhere with a camera.
That's it.
And that was it. And it was just like, it can't, when you see stuff like that and you hear Nirvana and you hear all the different things and you look at stuff, it's like, you can actually just do it as long as what you're doing's like real and like and good.
With a couple of different things, right? What would you say in terms of music wise? What for you is the thing that you're proudest of? Because I've always think you can always say everyone's got something. Like if we were to take a snapshot of you right now in terms of something, you could go, this is what I'm about. This is a little look at, what I'm doing or what I can do. What would it be? What would it be for you?
Of what I've done musically?
Yeah.
I don't even know, man. I'd say, I done those 3 albums. The last of the 3 albums I done, Honor Amongst Thieves, I'd say is probably the thing that I'm most, I think it's hard to actually say that you think something you've done's good. Do you struggle with that? Do you struggle with saying,
all the time?
I done something good.
Do you know what? Shut up. I've come only recently. I've more come round to it. It's like, that was fucking good. know. And thanks very much. Yeah, you should be. That was fucking good. Just taking a little bit of pride, but I'm also not one of these people that is completely like, that went very well. You think that went well?
So
I mean, you'll have seen your selection of bands in the time, or somebody stood back from a painting or something and went, "That's cracking," and you're like, "Do you really think that? Do you really just to see?" But no, I know what you mean. There's always like that little bit of I think it's actually, I don't know, it's good and it's bad. I think there's always like a little bit of I don't want to say imposter syndrome, but I think you got to be a wee bit humble. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're always kind of like, I think this is good. You might not listen to it. There's nothing you can do about people's perceptions. So in terms of music, that album you like, in terms of art, What in terms of art, what would that be? Even if it was like you said, working with young kids, working with youth. I mean, I know you've done some amazing stuff for us, and you're just able to create all these amazing things. So it's probably like if you asked a photographer what his favorite picture would be, that would be a difficult one. So what's maybe the favorite? What's maybe the favorite experience you've had in creating something?
I think I say this quite a lot when folk ask me. I especially when I'm working with young folk, because young folk will go, "What's the best thing you've painted?" And I'll say the last thing. Like it can't be. If you're looking 5 years back and go, "That's the best thing I've done," and what have you been? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I always say to them, the last thing I done was the best thing I done. But the last thing that I done was those sculptures, was those jellyfish sculptures.
Yes.
Like, have you seen them? Do you know?
They
look like giant psilocybin mushrooms, essentially. But that was probably because it was a nightmare, and I had to fight myself the whole way through it. But when they were finally up, there was a bit of me that was like, do you know? Even like 3 days later, I've never been back to see them. Like, I've not even took anybody up to look at them, because I've just been like, right, stop, don't think about that now, going, because I've just been working on this book. But my friend sent me a picture of his wee girl underneath them, and she was looking up and they were all lighting up, and that was the bit where I remember I was lying in the bed watching the telly, and he sent me the photo, and I was like, I had a wee 10 seconds and they went like that. Like, that's that now. Do you know what I mean? But it took, I don't know, man. Like, it's weird, isn't it? Like,
that's definitely a healthy attitude. I think, like, because that'd be like me going, "Oh man, that gig I did. See that gig I did 5 years ago, man. Belter.
It's all been downhill from them."
Yeah, gig wasn't that good last night. No, wasn't it? But last 5 years ago, I was shit. I was shit a lot. Now we've got to come to being a walrus chaser. We've sort of teased it at the start. We've got little snapshots of what's going on. So, what on earth do you mean by describing yourself as a walrus chaser?
So it's taken me quite a while to actually figure out how to put it into a sentence.
Okay.
To be fair, but walrus chasing is the language that I use to talk to myself. Like, that's what it is. Because I had a moment where, like, I was thinking, like, you talk, like, I don't know about you, but do you have conversations with yourself
all the time?
Right. So I talk to myself more than I talk to anybody else. And sometimes the way I talk to myself is a bit shit. So
do you mean like, is it negative?
Aye, like something, not when you're dead hard on yourself and stuff, and you're like, oh, well, that could have been like that kind of thing. Like, oh, you can't do that. Like, don't do that. You've not got an art degree. What do you know about sculptures, you fucking buffoon? Like, it's a bit kind of like that. And then I thought, so like this walrus thing is just the thing that kind of makes sense to me. And it's like the book is essentially a user's manual for my brain that I'm kind of sharing and saying, look, this is because no one gets a user's manual.
No,
we all just kind of need to fucking figure it out. So I thought,
you don't get them with kids, you don't get them with anything, you don't get them with life.
Nothing important. You know what I mean? You get them with your car, nobody knows how to fucking use them. Do you know what I mean? So this is what that is. So like when it finally kind of comes out, I'm hoping that folk read it and go, oh fuck, that's a bit like me. I'll take that bit and see if that helps me, kind of thing.
So in its own way, that's what inspired you to write the book. Well, I've got to ask, what inspired you to write the book? Was it the last 2 years? Was it the time in solitude? What was it?
I was in a job. So, like, while I've been doing the music thing and I've been doing the art thing and all that, like, I've had jobs to fund my life. Do you know what I mean? Music paid nothing. Like, I won a battle of bands when I was 15 and get £250 as a gift certificate, and that's the most I've ever been paid for playing my own songs in front of people.
A gift certificate. Where was it for? Where was it for, if you can remember?
McCormick's Music, and me and the other two guys in the band went up and we split it 3 ways and bought stuff. That was it. Like, that's the most I've ever made. And then it was like, we're fucking on to something here, boys. This will be happening. £250 gift certificate now.
The big guy with the cigars waiting. Yeah. The big guy with the cigars waiting.
You know what I mean? So, like, I've always had to work in the background doing that, which is why, like, when I was doing the youth work stuff and that, and like licking envelopes, that was funding all the music and the art and all that kind of stuff. But I try to get my dates right, but in like 2018, I was working in a job, and I've got, like, when I know I'm no happy, the red wine comes out. the red wine makes an appearance. And that's because that's okay to drink during the week. Red wine's fine to drink during the week because it makes you cultured. That's fine. Like that's the bit in my head was like, it's fine.
You could be having lunch in France.
That's it. It could be not Jake to down the park with a bottle of Merlot, but like that's
not opening it outside the shop.
With like taking your own corkscrew to open outside the spa. But
yeah, don't mind me. This is how they do it in France.
Laying out the cheese strings on a wee tartan cloth just in front of the spa. But I mean,
a wee Aaron tea towel over your arm. Just I could be a waiter. This could be a low. Do you know what I mean?
It's absolutely fine. You've got nothing to worry about. But I know that kind of makes an appearance when things aren't going well. And I was going to the shop quite a lot, and I was buying a lot of red wine, and I was going through a lot of red wine, and I wasn't happy in the job that I had because I gave up the music at this point. That Honor Among Steve's album came out. I played one gig in stereo in front of, I don't know, like 150 people, and then walked off stage, and my big pal Stuart came up and goes, "When's the next gig?" And I was like, "There won't be one." That was it. And he went, "Ah!" I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, that's it. It's done. Like, I'm going to do an album and a gig, and that's it. I can't be arsed with this anymore." Like, so I went and got a real job, and I was miserable. And I was out walking to the shop to get red wine, and I was just listening to songs, and I Am the Walrus by the Beatles came on. And that's the first I felt like me for about a year and a half was when that song came on. And I was like, the Scottish bit in me won't let me say, like, I was visited by the muse. I felt like slightly less of an arsehole than I usually felt like. That was it. Do you know what I mean? So
is that a quote? Because that should be in the book.
That's in the book. I wrote that the other day.
Brilliant.
So that was it. And I'd heard that song, and I just felt like me again. And then I went into work, and I just started saying to anybody that would listen, like, I don't want to be here. Like, I want to do something different. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then, like, I get a South Ayrshire Council actually get in contact with me and asked me if I'd like to be artist in residence. So I was working with communities again, doing art. I was like, yes, sacked the job, and just kept listening to that song. Like, that was it. And then the 2 months before the lockdown, this is what actually, I worked the garage out. I was working in there. I knew there was something about this Walrus thing. I was just listening to it as much as I could and just making stuff in the garage. And then I bought a GoPro and I started making YouTube videos.
That's right.
That was it. I started doing that. And I had enough money in the bank to see me through to January. And I was like, right, well, I'm no need to worry because in January I've got work. And then and then what happened. And I was like, oh fuck. Well, that's kind of fucked that for me, hasn't it?
Do you know, I know that lockdown has been an opportunity for some people to flourish and other things, but I just want to make this clear. The stance here on Braw Cast is COVID and lockdown can literally go fuck themselves, right? This is not a period. They're not going to do reenactments of this. You know, they do reenactments of the wars and stuff like that. And they're not going to do that. Like in 2025, nobody's getting together with face masks and hand sanitizer and going, oh, it's like the old days. Remember when Tiger King was on? Oh, what a fucking time to be alive. No.
It was fucking horrible, man. It was horrible. And like, then every phone call I got was, this isn't happening. We can't do this. We can't do that. And I was like, I am fucked. And the government grants came out, and it's like, well, you haven't been self-employed long enough to apply for any grants. So I can't get anything. Everybody's in furlough. I'm like, I don't fucking know what I'm going to do. And literally the only thing like I could do was just kind of keep going. And I started to write things down that would help me get through things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it helped change like the way I felt about stuff and all that. And I just kind of kept going as best as I could. And I started making those lockdown learning videos where it was like, you know what? If I'm in here, I'm just going to start doing youth work online. And I just started making videos about how to do stuff for free. And then some of the organizations said, could you make them for us? And that gave me enough to kind of get through to the next bit. But there was so in the first video I ever made for YouTube, I mentioned I listen to I Am the Walrus at least once a day. I said it in it because I knew there was something to do with this. And then about 6 months in, I made another video called 6 Things I Want to Do Before I Die. And the first thing I want to do is paint a mural of what I see in my head when I listen to I Am the Walrus. And that's what I said I wanted to do. And then I got into this place because a commission came up and I took all the money that I got for that commission and I just dumped in here and I lived in here for a year. And then in February of 2021, I was in here cleaning up. And because the place was a fucking disaster, right? And I stayed late to clean up and I was listening to MF Doom, who just died. I say just died in December. And I was just cleaning and something came into my head and I wrote it down I had a big bit of plywood for a table and I wrote it down on a bit of plywood, what it was. And then next thing I know, 2 years later, I've written this whole job description about the walrus and I put it up on my wall and I was like, right, I'm back in here on Tuesday. If I can read this on Tuesday and it makes sense, I'm putting a video on, I'm making that, and I'm just going to film it. And that's it. And then from that point on, I was a professional walrus chaser. And it's just chasing that feeling that song gave me.
It's funny because I remember when the video went up, I can't remember what I was doing, but I'd watched all the videos. I'd seen, because it was the only way you could frequently stay in touch with people, because even though we were all locked down or we were open or all locked down, it's kind of hard to keep tabs with folk. And I remember seeing the video coming up on my timeline. I think it was my Twitter one, so it would have been you posting the link to the YouTube and seeing a professional walrus hunter and thinking like, I must phone Tosh.
I wonder if he's okay.
I wonder if he's all right. I must phone Tosh. But then I watched the video. Like I think I got home and then I'm going to watch the video, and it was inspiring. It was inspiring. Was that the kind of reaction you wanted? Because like you say, it's not like rehearsed. It's not like, you can tell you didn't, unless you're going to break my heart and say you did like multiple takes, but you're talking very much from the heart when you're doing it, and you can tell in the video.
Cool, man. No, because that's what it was. It was just like the way because I went home and I told Kirstine about it, and she was like, "It sounds like a good idea," and I was like, "Right, I'll sleep on it. And if it sounds like a good idea tomorrow." And the problem was, like, it felt like I was holding on to smoke. Like it just kept, and it was like, and then basically the way that it's, and this is what the book's about. This is what the whole thing's about. Where it's like, right, I figured out why I do the things I do. I stopped thinking about what I do, and I thought about why I do it.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell anyone that why, because it's mine. And I think that everybody kind of needs to figure their own out. But it's not. It's not anything. It's not written in stone. Hasn't came down from Mount Sinai on a tablet. It's just a fucking thing that made all this other stuff happen, and that was it. And this whole thing's morphed into the point where it's like, when I listen to that song, I see a very specific thing, and it changes every time I listen to the song. And I can't describe it, so I put it inside a box, and it's that box, that pink one there. So what's inside that box there is what I see inside my head when I listen to I Am the Walrus. And essentially the job description is, I need to get what's inside that box out. And that's it. Like that's what the job is that I wrote for myself. And it all came for this bit. And it makes sense to no one. And like I was in a Creative Scotland meeting and everybody's sitting there going, well, my name's such and such and I'm head of marketing for thing. And it gets to me and I'm like, I'm Tragic O'Hara and I'm a professional walrus chaser. And you can see by all the wee squares in the Zoom call, some of the folk go mortified and then other people kind of laugh. And there's a bit where I'm like, I'd rather just talk to the ones that are laughing.
Yeah.
Rather than the ones that think I'm an idiot, because like I don't really need to, it's not part of my job description to convince you that I'm worth listening to. So yeah. If you'd kindly get the fuck out of my way, I've got a walrus to catch. You know what I mean?
Because those guys are, I've got to watch what I'm saying in regards to Creative Scotland. I'll be very, very careful. But, we can't all be sewing bee in St Andrews. And I'll move straight on. but I can hear what you mean. Like, we had a battle with comedy because we had to have comedy recognized in a certain way. And it's even then, you suddenly have someone like me turning up on a call and they're like, okay, what's this all about? It's, like you're in the wrong call. But clearly that made a connection though. So the book, you say it's a user guide to how your brain works, but I get the feeling you're hoping that people will recognize elements of their struggles or maybe the little malfunctions they might be having and how they can get their head around it. Not telling them what to do, but
Yeah,
just kind of like inspiring them to look at it.
because I think it comes down to a few things, but it's like it's language. And it's the language that you use to speak to yourself. And I think when
Yeah.
you go into these things and people turn around and they use the language like that, because there's a lot of times I've done mental health stuff for spoken to mental health professionals and all that sort of stuff, and they use words and I'm like, I don't fucking know what that means, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know what that means. It's a bit like when, I mean, I went to Catholic school, so when the priest came in and talked about shepherds, I'm like, man, I collect pogs. I don't have a fucking clue what a shepherd is. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't get this. So the stuff in it is the things that I use to navigate situations. So, like, for example, I've got 2 rules. I've got rule 0 and I've got rule 0.5. And rule
Right.
0 is your family comes first. That's it. Like, they come first. And rule 0.5 is don't be a dick. And that's it. And I think if you can navigate your entire life just using those 2 things, like tell the people that you love them, and just be as honest as you can all the time. And that's it. And anything else, then when I look at stuff and I'm like second guessing choices I've made, I go, right, hold on a minute, man. The reason it costs that much is because my family comes first. And every moment that you take away from me being with them is less time that I've got with them. And my currency's not money, my currency's time. And I want to generate more time for myself to chase the walrus, but they're always going to come first. So in saying that, am I being a dick for putting down the artists' union rate of pay for this particular bit of work that you want done? No, I don't think I am. Are you being a dick because you don't want to pay it? Maybe. They ask questions to be honest. And that's the bit where it's they help me navigate the stuff and not spend so much time second guessing the decisions that I've made. And that's what it is. And that's a big part of the book. And it's like, right, well, if I've written all this stuff and it makes sense to someone picks up and they go, that bit there doesn't make any sense to me, but they 2 rules, I'll take them. And it's like, right, well, like, for example, I put a video out about a thing called the grey area, where it was like, so this got me through the sculpture. Like, if it wasn't for this thing, the sculpture I would have melted because of how much pressure it was, right? And the way I imagine it is I imagine that I live in a wee house in my head. In my head, I live in a wee house, right? And it looks onto 2 doors. And behind door 1 is the light side, and behind door 2 is the dark. So, and I live in the wee house in the grey, but I can see the 2 doors, and this is the stuff. So I imagine that. So what will happen is, right, the door 2 is all the fucking bad stuff that's going to happen, but really what behind door 2 is for me is death. That's the worst thing that can happen is death, and behind door 1's perfection. You can't get perfection either because nobody's perfect. So I've started teaching this stuff in like schools. And I was in Falkirk working with a bunch of young folk, and it's the first time I explained it in front of a group of people. And one of the young folk was like, Messi's perfect. I was like, no, he's great, but he's not perfect. Well, if he was perfect, then what would happen is every time he kicked the ball, it would go in the net. That'd be it. That's perfection. And you could see the kind of penny drop. And I was like, so he's great, but he's not perfect. So if you go chasing perfection, it will make you miserable, right? So I imagine the 2 of these doors, death's behind there. My walrus, that's the walrus, is on the front of door 1, and I just need to face that. When I was doing the sculpture, I was constantly looking at door 2 or the bad stuff. But what door 2 does is it plays this trick on you. Like, it says the worst thing's death, but it's not going to show you it. It's going to say, well, the worst thing that can happen is this sculpture falls down, and then you need to pay all the money back, and then you're skint, and then you'll never get another sculpture again. And your head just rushes towards door 2. So I wrote an equation to stop me from looking at door 2. And the equation is D1 equals D2 plus RZ plus GT infinity, which stands for, so door 1 equals looking at door 2 and going, I'm not dead. Right? Plus RZ, which is rule 0. Family's fine. They're in their beds. I was in the shower when I figured this out.
I mean, I've as someone who's been done therapy and what have you, I mean, it's teaching you on your own, you're like, you're not fixating on the future, you're making sure you're living in the present. Yep. You're putting away negative thinking, which is exactly what you're told to do. Lock it behind the wee door because it doesn't serve you in any way.
So
and it's keeping you motivated.
Aye, man. Rule 0, everything's fine, and GT stands for one good thing. And I go over that. I keep adding one good thing. So honestly, I was in the shower and I was like, everything's fucked. I can't get the materials for this. It's not going to happen. I'm going to get all this money back. I can't afford it. And I went, and I need to go, mate, fucking door you looking at? I need to go, mate, what fucking door you looking at? And I'll go, right, I'm not dead. Rule 0, everybody's fine. What's one good thing? Motorhead. What's another good thing? Nirvana. What's another good thing? The Beatles. What's another good thing? Jeff Rowley's Part and Sorry. And I just keep going back, and it feels like I'm taking a step back for door 2 to eventually go, right, there's the door, there's door 1. What am I going to do about this walrus thing? And that's it. And I use that equation to bring myself back. But that makes sense to me. I know if I sat in a room, because I've been in rooms with people before that explain the negative thought and all that, and I'm like, I'm into Star Wars and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, just tell me shit like that. Tell me about Darth Vader. Tell me about the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force, and I understand that. I don't understand Mandula Blancata and all that fucking stuff. I don't, whatever it is, I don't get all that. But I picture myself in this bit looking at these 2 doors, and that's the thing that I use to direct the energy. And it's like, so that this is the shit that I'm writing down that like pure fucking like really helped me to the point where like I'm now. What would it be? I'm a year in February as a professional walrus chaser. I'm nearly finished my book. I've made a fucking sculpture. I'm in my own fucking workshop. It's paying the bills. I'm still in my overdraft, right? But it's paying the bills, and whatever it is working, and it's not playing to anybody else's idea of what I should be doing, because I know why I'm doing it.
And the only way you'll be able to find out is by reading the book and finding out the user guide. I love that. That was absolutely fucking brilliant. That was just a journey, and I was like, all I could think of is you were going, it's like, I need to read the book. Like, I really need to read the book. So what's the plan, man, with the book? We've got to talk about it. What's the plan? Is it going to be self-published? Are you just, where are we with that whole process? Or are we just going to see how things, hey, it seems to be working quite well. It's on the journey to chase the walrus. So
yeah, man.
Where are we with the book?
My friend Kevin is a doctor. He's an archaeologist, and he's also the person that introduced me to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He's been my mate for years.
Nice.
And I'd say this is the thing, right? I put up a post on Instagram saying I'm starting to write a book, like just like a fucking maniac, just fucking typing everything, right? And he says many words, and he messaged me, he was like, many words you wrote, and I was like, I'm at 30,000. And he was like, how long have you been doing it? I was like, about 2 weeks. And he was like, mate, I need to phone you. And he phoned me, and he was like, you're supposed to write 500 a day. Like, I don't know how you've done this, right? But like, can I see it? I was like, right, okay. And I sent it to him, and he's like, right, you can obviously write, okay? It's all spelt, and it makes sense and stuff. Right, just keep going. And I said to him, would you edit it for me? Would you make sure it's like a PhD? And he was like, right, aye, cool, man. So it's going to be edited by a doctor. So it is a PhD. I'm writing about myself. That's what it is. It's a PhD. It's going to be 80,000 words on me.
I honestly think there's going to be an open university course in Chasing the Walrus. Like, I actually think it's going to happen. What are you doing, mate? I'm doing an HND in bookbinding. I don't know if that's still a thing. What are you doing? I'm doing accountancy. What are you doing? Chasing the Walrus, mate. Oh, Chasing fuck, I couldn't get on that course. Fucking Professor O'Hara won't let you fucking on it.
No.
They'll be talking Gryffindor.
So, aye, man. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put it out myself. Like, I'm not doing anything else with it. I'm just going to put it out myself. But Kevin's going to edit it, and I'm putting out my own publishing label called Elementary Penguin Publishing.
Right. I love that.
And that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to do it by myself. Because
so it's going to be an Elementary Penguin book.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love that.
So it's like like, I've done all my music myself, and I put it out by myself, and I've done all that bit, and I'm like, do you know what? Because the part of me, like, I had a lot of people telling me what to do, and I wasn't even successful. Like, I wasn't making money, and there was always somebody in the background going, you should be doing it like this. And I go, okay. And I go and do it like that for a while, and I go, nah, this is going to be big. You should probably do this. You know, I was doing this. And like, now I'm at the point when I'm like, look, I am more than capable of fucking this up by myself. So I just got to do it. Like I've just got to put it out by myself and just see what happens, man. But that's it. That's the kind of premises of it. But like I never went out going, I'll write a book. I get kicked out of uni. I get kicked out of uni for an essay I'd written about Daft Punk and Kanye West.
All right. What? Why? Why were you kicked out?
Fucking awful when they read it and went, look, mate, you're just wasting your time here. Like, see you later.
Halfway through this, you just start talking about Kanye's shoes, and then you never come back. You never come back.
Do you know what it was? The guy, I remember the instructor, the lecturer had said, look, in university, you can say whatever you want as long as you can justify it. And I was like, okay, well, we'll fucking see about that then, won't we? And it turns out you can't.
Let me call it a lesson for us all to learn.
Yeah. What did you learn? Nothing. And that was it. So that's what I mean. Like that academic bit never worked for me.
Yeah.
Like but now I'm writing this thing, and it's like, but it's not. I didn't get there by thinking about getting to write a book. I got there by thinking, why am I doing this whole thing? Like, why am I doing this? And then the book becomes as a result. Whereas I think when a lot of people focus on like what they're doing, they get lost in it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you actually take a step back and go, why the fuck did I even start doing this in the first place? Then you go, oh, it's because of this. You know, right, well, you should do that then and follow the reason why you're doing something rather than getting stuck in what? Because you just get lost in it.
Yeah. No, that I mean, yeah, that's something that can apply to anything, doesn't it? If you just end up losing your way amongst all the dotting the I's, crossing the T's of life or whatever the activity is, that you forget to enjoy it almost, and you forget that it is at the end of the day, we're all just taking that trip and trying to stay away from door number 2.
Pretty much, aye.
I could have made sound a little less sexual, but I think we all know what I mean.
Do you know, I never even put that bit in my head. I never even thought I told number 2 is that. And now I do, and it's ruined the whole. I'll need to fucking delete that chapter.
Well, my book, which is called Door Number 2, Avoid, is I've only written 10 words, but I'm going to be putting that out soon. Tosh,
cool, man.
I could talk to you about so many different things, but I can't wait to see the book. I know there's still plenty of time, there's still plenty of work to done, but watching the journey, people can obviously find you online, but they can obviously check out other blogs and all the learning tutorials and stuff that you've done over the last couple of years on YouTube. But is there anywhere else people could check out your work?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the same. It's all just Mr. Tragic O'Hara, and then tragicohara.com's my website, all spelt right.
There you go. And when do we think the book's going to be out? Have you got a time frame, do you think?
My plan is to have my final draft over to Kevin by the end of March and be like, right, and then not think about it for a while until it comes back with all the big red marks to it and stuff. And then, but apparently it takes like quite a while to do that other thing.
I would think so. I mean, I've never done it, of course. I've been sent drafts from people going, can you read this? And being like, I am not an editor. I am not an editor, man. I don't even know where to begin. I think, but also it's like, if I don't understand this, is it shite? No, I just don't understand it. So it sounds like you've got the man for the fucking job as well, and that's a big important thing, having a collaborator like that that's gonna help you take it across the line. Man, can't wait to read the book, and we'll have to do another one of these catch ups. Been absolutely amazing. I tell you what, I'm going to leave you in the green room, and I'm going to just finish up here, and I'll come back and I'll say goodbye. Everyone, make sure to check out professional walrus chaser, Mr. Tragic O'Hara. There he goes. Right, that's all we've got time for on this episode of Braw Cast. Don't forget, you can support and keep this podcast free. We put the audio version out during the week, and you can watch the video version live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock. But you can also check out over at Braw Beard's YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button with you there. Lots of amazing content coming over the next couple of weeks, really opening stuff up in 2022. We've got some funny stuff, we've got some crazy stuff, we've got a little bit of everything. You're going to enjoy it. And you can still buy tickets to come and see us live February 19th at Drygate in Glasgow, where we're going to have Calvin Gowan, we're going to have Bruce from Teapot for one, we're going to have pro wrestler Jack Jester, we're going to have Jamie Coward as well, so much more. Make sure to buy your tickets, and we will see you there. That's all we got time for. I think I've said that already. One episode. Don't forget, chase the walrus.